Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining this morning. Let's make a start and start with Radha Madhav. Hari Hari Bo. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girdhari Gopijana Vallabha Girdhari Yashodanandan Vajjana Ranjana Yashodanandan Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Hari Hari Bo. So today we're doing verses 18 to 23, and then that will be the end of chapter 1 of Canto 1. So let's share first of all. Wonderful. Okay, so I hope you can all see this. And the shloka is number 18. Tasmin Prasuna Sadbaka Palasha Shoka Kanane Varabihi Sarvadabir Aduguste Nirvandaya Yaha Samantaha. So Tasmin is in that Prasuna Stabka, bunches of flowers, Palash trees, Ashoka trees. Sorry, I think this is not right. It's not right. Sorry.
Go to chapter 4.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to say I don't remember. See this.
Yeah, so mine is different.
Yeah, I'm going to say this sign right. Let me just go back. Can I go back here? Chapter 1. Hold on. Let's leave it. Problem with this, it keeps disappearing. Then I have to go and find it. And then I found the wrong one. Chapter 1, text 18. Okay, yeah, that looks more familiar. Sorry about that. So, Atha Kayahi Hare Demon, Avatar Katha Shubhadaha, Leela Vidadata Sweram, Ishwarasyatma Mayaya. Atha, therefore, Akyahi described Hare of the Lord, Demon of sagacious one, Avatar, incarnations, Katha, narratives, Shubha, auspicious, Leela, adventurous, Vidataha, perform, Swairam, pastime, Ishwarasya, of the Supreme Controller, Atam, personal, Mayaya, energies. So, O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. For the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material worlds, the Supreme Lord, personally regarded, himself appears in many thousands of forms of incarnations, and the specific adventures found in those transcendental forms are all auspicious for those who are present during such activities, and those who hear the transcendental narrations of such activities are benefited. So let's pray. First of all, Om Agyan Timirnasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthaptam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakam Shri Guru Yashamshara Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathamritam Samsajim Sadvetam Savaduta Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shiva Shakhanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Puran Mami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Kubrehescha Kirpa Sindhu Evacha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukham Kroti Vachalam Hambum Lang Yati Garim Yat Kirpatam Mandashi Guru Taranam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tassat Narayan Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Sasvityasam Tato Jayamati Nashna Prisha Abdureshu Nityam Bhagavad-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Neshtaki Hari Om Tassat. So we're talking last couple of times about the sages asking questions from the learned sage Sutta, and there's like 6 questions, and we're just approaching question number 5, which is about the Leela avatars, and this is what they're talking about in this shloka. So it's mentioned that Krishna appears in every species. We don't always get to know about it, about all the species, but Krishna appears in all the species, and the Lord, he appears through his agencies. This is why there's like such a big confusion about who is God? Is Vishnu? Does Krishna come from Vishnu? Does Vishnu come from Krishna? Now we just have to remember that Krishna emanates from him. But the confusion is there, like, does Vishnu become Krishna when he's like Janmashtami? Because he appears as 4-armed Vishnu and then he goes into 2-armed Krishna. But yes, so it's mentioned that the Lord appears in this world through his agencies. That's where the confusion is. Because so Vishnu is his agent, or Krishna is the boss, but even as a boss, he has to show some, or at least he doesn't have to, but he shows some etiquette by going through the various agencies in that location. Just like owner of a multinational company, when he visits one of his companies, and has got companies all over the world, but when he visits company, he doesn't just like turn up without announcement. He'll contact the managing director there, and he will explain. He'll inform him that I'm going to come at such and such time, such a date, like that, and please make arrangements. So in this case, the agency is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, or the super soul in the heart. And when Krishna appeared, so his first agency was the super soul, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So that's why he showed his Kshirodakshaya Vishnu form. He came out the heart and he appeared in front of Yashoda and Devki and Vasudev. And so they were the second agency. Devki and Vasudev, they were the second agency when he appeared in front of them. So they are the instruments for his parents. And it's also mentioned that everything about the Lord is auspicious and purifying. So this is why every year we have the festivals of different incarnations. We hear the pastimes. Although somebody might say, "Oh, I've heard this before," or you've heard them every year. But you hear them anyway because they're purifying, right? And to be honest, when you hear them every year, you'll find new realizations coming out as well. So yeah, you start thinking about it in a different way. So, okay. No, can you just check? I'm not sharing, am I?
Mm.
Okay, let me just.
Doesn't look like.
Yeah, so co-host, please inform me.
I think I just got lost in that.
Okay.
Now it is, yes.
So, verse 19. Vayam tuna vitrpayam uttam shloke vikrame yash shanvatam ras jnanam svadu svadu pade pade. So vayam, we too, but not vitrpayamaha, shall be at rest. Uttam shloke, the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by transcendental praise. Vikrame, adventures. Yat which Shanvitam, by continuous hearing. Rasa, humor. Jnanam, those who are conversant with. Svadu, like svad, relishing. Svadu, again, can mean palatable as well. So let's think about Sanskrit. Same word can have so many different meanings. Pade pade, at every step. So vayam tu na vitrpayam uttam shloke vikrame yash shranvatam ras jnanam svadu svadu pade pade. So we never tire for hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality Godhead, who's glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationship with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So if we don't relish the pastimes, then means we haven't developed a taste for it. So there's a great difference between mundane stories, fiction, or history, and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas are histories of bygone ages recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnation of the Lord, and therefore remain fresh even after repeated readings. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad-Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find in them new light of information. Mundane news is static, whereas the transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic and matter is static. Those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. One who is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is saturated by transcendental or devotional activities. Uttam Shloka indicates the literature which is not meant for nescience. So, mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. Transcendental literature is above the mode of darkness, and its light becomes very luminous with progressive reading and realization of the transcendental subject matter. The so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the words Aham Brahmasmi. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed. And so to relish real pleasure, they turn to the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are not so fortunate turn to altruism and worldly philanthropy. This means the Mayavad philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. So the so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of word aham brahmasmi, so that they think they are God, right? Because they have become liberated, but they have become one with Brahman, or so they think. But you cannot become one with Brahman, although we have similar quality. The soul is spiritual. That's soul. We're not God. We're just spiritual, in very limited way. So the sages are making a point that every moment they hanker to hear. They have a taste for it. They hanker to hear the pastimes of the Lord. Mundane stories, they can't compare to the pastimes of the Lord. Ramayana, Mahabharata, you can watch it again and again. And we do, when they made Mahabharata, or when they made Ramayana, whole of India, they say people used to stop working. And when people are walking, they'll stop. And, it's coming on at the TV shop, they'll stop and watch there. The whole of India is to come and stop. And then they made some new, like Ramayana as well. They made new ones, new versions, latest, versions, and people still watch it, with so much interest, because it touches the heart, and it teaches so many things. So same with Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, meant to be read again and again, and every time you find new information. Every time you hear and read, you become purified. So next time you hear or read, with a new level of consciousness. This is the beauty. Every time you read it, your consciousness is changed. Another layer has come off that, and then next time you read it with a new consciousness. So then you can see a different perspective. You get different revelations. And because it's not different from Krishna, he also reciprocates with us. So it's interactive. And when you get a taste for Krishna, or for reading this or hearing this, Krishna becomes pleased. And that's the idea. That's what we're trying to do. With everything we're doing, we want to please Krishna by doing it. So like Srila Prabhupada, he had developed a taste for talking about Krishna and his incarnations. He just loved talking about them. And there's like an example that one time he spoke all night, and he was talking about the incarnations. He spoke all night, that he wanted to show that this is the kind of taste we need to develop, that we just never get tired. If you develop intense taste, you just never get tired of it. You just get more and more relishable and palatable. And it was mentioned that the devotees left about 11 o'clock because in the night, because they're like now, falling asleep. They've been hearing for hours and hours, falling asleep. And when they came back in the morning, Prabhupada still speaking. He like really made a point to them that this is the taste that is necessary. He showed by example that this is how it's done. So we move on to verse 20. Kritavan kila karmani sahara mena Keshava atimartyani bhagavan gudha kapata manushaha. Kritwan, done by, kil, what, karmani, acts, saha, along with, Ramena, Balram, Keshava, Shri Krishna, Ati Martayani, superhuman, Bhagwan, the personal Godhead, Gudha, masked as, Kapata, apparently, Manusha, human being. So Lord Shri Krishna, the personal Godhead, along with Balram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. So it's mentioned here. So they perform many superhuman acts. The doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. Right. So what does that mean? Anthropomorphism is when an animal behaves like a human being. So a human, actually, a human behaves like an animal, which we've seen quite. It's also quite common. People want to be animals nowadays, as we mentioned before. So actually, anthropomorphism is where we assign human characteristics to animals, and zoomorphism is where animal characteristics are assigned to human beings. So zoomorphism is when human beings behave like animals, and anthropomorphism is where animals behave like human beings. They have like some characters of human beings, their behavior might be like humans. Um, we see animals laughing, they tend to laugh sometimes, or they try to speak, there's all over the net, they're saying, I love you, like that, they have like showing human characteristics.
Husky dogs.
Husky dogs. Husky dogs. Yeah. So there's a lot of examples. So that's anthropomorphism, where the animals are behaving like humans, and zoomorphism is where animal characteristics are assigned for human beings. So Krishna takes forms as human beings. That's his original form, right? And he also takes form as animals. But these assignments don't apply to Krishna because he is spiritual. It's not that now he's become an animal or he's taken a shape of an animal and now he's an animal. He's still Krishna himself. This is the difference. When we take shape of an animal or take a body of an animal, then we really do become animals. But whereas Krishna, he will remain Krishna. He can take any shape he wants. He's still is same. His consciousness is same. His knowledge is same. There's nothing changed. Just that we are seeing in a different form, like Matsya Avatar or Nrsimhadev, like that. We see that, but or the Bo Avatar, but he's still same. He can still do all the things that he can do in a human type of body, right? So Krishna, Ram, Lord Chaitanya, they come in form of the uh, humans by practicing mystic yoga claim to be God, but that is that they don't become God, right? That they still remain humans. We cannot become God, but God can come in a human form and still remain God. That's the difference. I mean, Krishna, he could kill Putana as a baby, right? So can we do that? Do we have those powers? We can kill a Rakshas as a baby. We can't even swallow our food. Never mind. Or we can't walk, or we don't have the motor abilities to do a lot of things. So that's the difference. So the theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerity is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Since Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages as saints to be the personality of goddess, indicated in revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. They think, well, maybe we can try and we can say we are God as well. Now, this process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal, Srila Prabhupada explains. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. It's so easy to get followers. It's sometimes so easy to fool people, and you get so many followers. You'll come in the media, and that's it. You suddenly become a celebrity and claim to be God. And he goes. So Lord Shri Krishna was not that type of incarnation. He was actually the personality Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared for his so-called mother as four-armed Vishnu. Then, at the request of the mother, he became like a human child and at once left her for another devotee at Gokul. He was on a mission. He came, he knew what he wanted to do, and he's not attached to anything, and away he went. Then, at the request of the mother, he became like a human child, and at once left her for another devotee at Gokul, where he was accepted as a son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. Similarly, Shri Baladev, the counterpart of Lord Shri Krishna, was also considered a human child, born of another wife, or Shri Vasudev. In Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental, and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. So, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. That's the verse. So, knowledge of the transcendental nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Shri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. In the Bhagavad-Gita, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos. Wow. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of his literature progresses. It is important to note here, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother, that his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted his Govardhan hill at the age of 7, and that all these acts definitely prove him to be actually the Supreme Personality Godhead. So that is the evidence. Can somebody claims to be God? Well, can you lift Govardhan? Can you lift any hill? No. And can you show your Virat Rupa? No. So how can you claim to be God? Because God can do these things. He has these qualities where he can do these things. So this is that's how he shows that he's God. Now you show the same, and we'll believe that yes, you're God. Yet due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father and mother and other relatives. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching parental love for their son. There's with this Maya, he would cover them because he still wants them to look. He wants to be their child. He doesn't want awe and reverence. Then what's the point of doing pastimes or become a child of Devki, Vasudev, Yashoda, Nandan, Nand Maharaj, if they're going to believe that you're God himself and they're going to treat you like God? Then where's the Leela? Where's the fun in that? Krishna comes to enjoy his pastimes. He was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called father, mother, and other relatives. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching parental love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya describe him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he's the Supreme Almighty Personality of Godhead. So Yashodananda, Krishna's internal parents, they don't think of him as God, and if they had awe and reverence for him, then that would be an obstacle for being his parents, isn't it? Because the parents, as parents, you got to feel you want to care and protect your child, and if you know he's God, then the care and protection will go away. You'll be asking your child to give you care and protection. So that way, the child-parent relationship is broken down. So it needs to remain like that. Excuse me. So without them, Krishna will not have shelter, and this is how they shower their love on him as parents, and Krishna relishes the relationship. We see so many photos, pictures of Yashoda Maiya carrying little Krishna in her lap, is sitting there, and then they also have other Leelas like Damodar Leela. That's all, mother son interaction. Then Krishna also interacts with Nand Baba as well when he's talking about Govardhan Hill and he protects him, the pastimes. So, this sweet mellows, sweet relationship. And when you see the pictures, they look so beautiful, the mother-son, father-son relationship. And this is what Krishna likes to do. Right, next, go on to the next one. Klim agatam ajanaya kshetre smin vaishnave vayam asina dirga satrena kathayam sakshana hare. Kalim, the age of Kali, and agatam, having arrived, agnaya, knowing this, kshetre, in this tract of land, asmin, in this, vaishnave, specially meant for the devotee of the Lord, vayam, we, asinaha, seated, dirga, prolonged, satrena, for performance of sacrifices, kathayam, in the words of shana, with the time, like shan, with time at our disposal, hariha, of the personality of Godhead. Kukalim agatam agnaya kshetre smin vaishnavi vayam asina dirg satrena kathayam sakshana hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead. In this way, perform sacrifice. So this age of Kali is not all suitable for self-realization as was Satya Yuga, the golden age, or Treta Yuga, or Treta or Dwapar Yugas, the silver and copper ages. So you got the golden age, you got the silver age, and you got the copper age. For now is obviously the iron age, isn't it? For self-realization, the people in Satya Yuga, living a lifetime of 100,000 years, were able to perform prolonged meditation. So, horses for courses, when you had 100,000 years, you expected to do different things. And there was a prolonged meditation for thousands and thousands of years. And you had the right body for it. In the Treta Yuga, when the duration of life was 10,000 years, self-realization was attained by a performance of great sacrifice. So big yajnas. In the Dwapar Yuga, when the duration of life was 1,000 years, self-realization was attained by worship of the Lord. So temples came about. But in the Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life being 100 years only. Look at the difference from 100,000 years to only 100 years. And even that's like 80. You're lucky. Any time you spend over 80 is a bonus. Self-realization was attained by worship of the Lord. But in the Kali Yuga, the maximum duration of life being 100 years only, and that combined various difficulties, the recommended process of self-realization is that of hearing and chanting of the holy name, fame and pastimes of the Lord. That's all we got to do, and that's all we are capable of doing. The ages of Naimisharanya began this process in a place meant specifically for the devotees of the Lord. They prepared themselves to hear the pastimes of the Lord over a period of 1,000 years. Obviously, 1,000 years, I think at that time, the lifespan had reduced because this was like Kali Yuga just starting. So I guess to be in succession, they would pass it on and pass it on, the yajna to take place for 1,000 years. But the example of this age is one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Other attempts are simply waste of time, or they do not give any tangible results. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this system of Bhagavad Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting the messages of Lord Sri Krishna, primarily the message of Bhagavad-Gita, and when one is well established in the teachings of Bhagavad-Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization. So primarily the message of Bhagavad-Gita, and when one is well established in the teaching of Bhagavad-Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization, as we're saying. So Bhagavad-Gita is the beginning, and then you sort of get promoted to Srimad Bhagavatam. It's like the master's degree. So you expand the same knowledge in 18,000 verses, working from 700 verses. So it's explained that in the Kali Yuga, we have so many disqualifications and lack of time. So for self-realization, we have to study Bhagavad Gita and also Srimad Bhagavatam in that order. They're meant to be read again and again to understand, and for purification, as we mentioned earlier, but we don't have time to read. But we don't even have time to read, well, not even once, to be honest. We say, oh, Bhagavatam, it will take so many years. Can't do it, So sometimes we shy away because lack of time, we don't have the time. So at least we have to chant the holy name of Krishna. We cannot make time for that. But you need to chant and hear Bhagavatam as well and Bhagavad Gita, because that's the only way you're going to speed up the process. Otherwise, you can chant, but you need this and you need to do devotion service. They're like aspects that you need to add to speed up the purification process. So we really don't have the time for the methods of the previous yugas, as you've seen. And it's recommended that we scrutinizingly read Bhagavad Gita and then also study Bhagavatam and get explanations and examples of the instruction methods discussed, because they inspire us, right? So if we just keep chanting, and most likely we're not going to do it very attentively, at least at the beginning, we need inspiration as well. When we read about the stories about different personalities, especially about, let's say, Ajamil, or we read about Gajendra, or we read about Dhruva, Prahlad, we get inspired. So, wow. Or in this case, Maharaj Parikshit just gave up everything, lock, stock, barrel, all given up, and just sat to listen to Bhagavatam. Some people say, "Oh, I've got 7 days. Let me just have much fun as possible, enjoy everything next 7 days, and then I'm going to die." But now Maharaj Parikshit gave up. They had the spirit of renouncement. Just give it all up. And in fact, in that family, even the ladies, they have such a spirit of renouncement. When the Pandavas, they left went to north for the Himalayas, they were just going to do penance now and follow Krishna because he had left. The ladies didn't wait much longer. When they found out their husbands had gone, they did the same thing. They also left all the royalty, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti Mata. They just gave everything up straight away as well. Didn't think twice, about all the opulences and the comforts that they had and all the good food they're eating. It's like it'd be completely opposite to where they were going, but that they did not hesitate to do that. Also, Srila Prabhupada explains that Indian people have a great responsibility to spread the holy name to those who have not heard about it. Otherwise, how will they know? This is why Prabhupada came to the West. So we are born into these pastimes, incarnations, and knowledge. It's our duty to educate others and teach them what we know. This is why Srila Prabhupada said, I came to the West and distributed these teachings at the order of his spiritual master. His spiritual master said, look, go and tell people who have no clue about this. Go and tell them as well. So all scientific, mathematical, biological, philosophical knowledge, poetry is available in the West. But this is just like mundane knowledge. And when you compare it to spiritual, it's a big thing, I'm very refined, I'm into art, I'm into poetry. But in the context of things, it's mundane. It's just mundane. It's just ordinary knowledge. You know, poetry is just about a man and a woman, relationships, love. In the context of things, that's just bodily relationships. We are talking about here spiritual relationship. We're talking about the relationship of the soul to the super soul. That is much bigger relationship. And we're talking about rasas with Krishna himself. This knowledge will not save us from taking on new material bodies. That's the point. And doesn't matter how educated we become at the end of life, we have to leave it here and start from ABC. It doesn't matter if you become a great poet, become Shakespeare, right? Or you can do great music, or you're the greatest artist. But next life, you still have to start from the beginning. And that's if we even like get a human body. But with a spiritual account that is so strong, that will remain and we'll restart. If we have to come back, we'll start where we left off. See the difference. So let's move on. Text 22. Tvamna sandurishto datra dustaram nistiti rishitam kalim sattva haram pumsam karandar ivar navam. So Tvam, your goodness na unto us, Sandarista meeting, Datra by providence, Dustaram insurmountable, Nistitrishatam for those desiring to cross over, Kalim, the age of Kali, Sattva Haram, that which deteriorates the good qualities, Pumsam of a man, Karandhara, captain, Eva as Arnavam, the ocean. So we think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all good qualities of a human being. So Srila Prabhupada explains that the age of Kali is very dangerous for the human being. Human life is simply meant for self-realization. But due to this dangerous age, men have completely forgotten the aim of life. That forgetfulness, we're covered by Maya, just makes us forget everything. In this age, the lifespan will gradually decrease. So if it's 100, then it's going to go even lower. People will gradually lose their memory, finer sentiments, strength, and better qualities. A list of the anomalies for this age is given in the 12th canto of this work. And so this age is very difficult for those who want to utilize this life for self-realization. So this age is very difficult for those who want to utilize this life for self-realization. So Krishna realizes that that's very difficult for us, and that's why he's made the process very easy, very, very easy for us. The people are so busy with sense gratification that they completely forget about self-realization. Out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-realization because they don't realize that this brief life is but a moment on our great journey towards self-realization. The whole system of education is geared to sense gratification, and if a learned man thinks it's over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouses of so-called education. Learned men, therefore, must be cautious of this age, and if they all want to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sages of Naimisharanya and accept Shri Suta Goswami or his bona fide representative as the captain of the ship. This ship is the message of Lord Shri Krishna in the shape of Bhagavad-Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. So the ship is the message of Lord Krishna. If we follow this, we can cross over the ocean of nescience. So, as explained, that this age is designed for sense gratification. And that's why we're here in the first place, because that's what we wanted to do. In the Kali Yuga, people are inventing their own method of self-realization through sense gratification. You see the advertisement, discover yourself, let yourself go, all this, go on this holiday, that holiday. Let's, find out for your inner this, inner that. Anyway, so discover your dreams, live your dreams. You get that kind of messages through advertising on, say, on TV. So our true focus should be self-realization through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we have to take the messages of the Bhagavatam and live through the pages of the Bhagavatam. We might be able to recite the verses of these two literatures backwards, but can we even live one of those verses? This is what we always discuss, that we're discussing, but are we living it? Can we apply them in our lives? So, education is important, but more important is to be able to live this philosophy, right? It's not like armchair philosophy, as as we have seen. It's just not something just literature. This is something is practical to be applied, and we have to understand that I have an eternal relationship with Krishna, and I have to realize that relationship. So on the final verse, let's find it. Here we are. Right, so 23. Bruhi Yogeshwari Krishna, Brahmne Dharma Varmani, Swam Kashtham Adunopete Dharma Kam Sharanam Gatha. Bruhi, please tell Yogeshwara, the Lord of all mystic powers, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Brahmaniye, the absolute truth, Dharma, religion, Varmani, protector, Swamon, Kastham, abode, Aduna, nowadays, Upete, having gone away, Dharma, religion, come unto whom, Sharanam, shelter, Gatha, gone. So, Bruhi Yogeshwar Krishna, Brahmaniye, Dharma, Varmani, Swam, Kastham, Aduna, Pate, Dharma, kam, Sharanam, Gatha. Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So essentially, religion is the prescribed codes enunciated by the person of Godhead himself. Whenever there is cross misuse or neglect of the principle of religion, the Supreme Lord appears himself to restore religious principles. So yada yada hi dharmasya. This is stated in Bhagavad-Gita. Here the sages named Acharya are inquiring about these principles. The reply to this question is given later. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a transcendental sound representation of the personal Godhead, and thus it is a full representation of transcendental knowledge and religious principles. And thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Questions by the Sages. Now, I'm just going to quickly mention. So, this is the question number 6. So we talk about Leela Avatars in question 5. Question 6 is, where did the religious principles go when Krishna left? And Srila Prabhupada explains that the religious principles took shelter in Srimad Bhagavatam after Lord Krishna left for his abode. So Srimad Bhagavatam is a literal incarnation of Lord Krishna. And so that's where would they go? Krishna himself is in Bhagavatam, so religious principles don't need to go. They can just take shelter in Shiva Bhagavatam. So the laws of the Lord are the religious principles. Things that he has put in there that we must do. That's our religious principles. And when we don't obey, then we suffer as well. So it's very important to follow this, because it is our duty. We must try for self-realization, help others for self-realization, chant the holy name of the Lord, which is a requirement Kali Yuga. So these are religious principles that we must try for self-realization, chant the holy name, observe Akadashi is another one coming on Friday, and follow the regulations, the four regulations, where Kali resides, like that. We must follow those the regulations, and avoid. That's because they are considered sinful activities. So we must follow the four regulations, chant the holy name, 16 rounds. When you are build it up to minimum 16 rounds, keep practicing. So religious principles. Then we are spiritual, law-abiding citizens, as I mentioned before, because we may escape the laws of the land by hiring a clever lawyer or by bribing the judge, as we sometimes hear or say. But Lord Krishna's laws, we can't escape. There is no clever lawyer or judge who can be bribed, because we will reap what we sow. So thank you so much. I'm sorry I've taken so much time, but it's important that we understand it all, and go through it properly. So thank you so much, and love to hear from everyone. And let's start with Pundikaksh Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. We finished chapter 1 today. Canto 1, chapter 1. Very nice. And it has got so many messages, and you explained them so well. So this shows the effect of age of Kali and what is the purpose of human life. And we need to have a captain so that we can actually cross this material ocean. And for that, we need to read the scriptures and apply them, not just reading, but apply them as well. And seriously, like without these purports, we stay very confused in our life, because we know we have like 3 crores of demigods. So so many people are not sure actually who is actually a god and who is a demigod, and they worship so many. So, but these purports are telling about the different incarnations of the Supreme Lord, and how he is actually managing the entire universe with his energies as an agency. Um, Coming through his agency of energies. And Shravanam is very important. Again, sages in this Naimisaranya, they spend time by listening to Krishna Katha and performing this sacrifice and asking relevant questions for all of us. And um yeah, and pastimes play a very important role. Amuglila Prabhu says, I keep saying this one. Amuglila Prabhu once said, Lord performed pastimes so that people will not do time pass. So pastimes are very important. There are many people who think that pastimes are myths, but um, the scriptures show they're not myths. They are actually happened. There are historical evidences for all the pastimes, and pastimes will bring us closer to Krishna. And hearing from a qualified devotee is very important. And seriously, like when you hear to the pastimes, we'll never get tired or bored. And especially when you're listening from devotees and their realizations. Um, I just want to say two things. Time is less, but still, I want to say two things. One, I was listening to a class from Braj Sundar Das. So he was explaining that Brihaspati got, when he went to meet Indra, and Indra did not stood up, and he got offended, and he left him and went. So normally, when you read this, it looks like he got angry because he did not respect him, but because he's a devotee, Bhajasundar was explained very nicely that he left him because he felt pity for his disciple. He thought that his disciple is prouded now. I mean, because of the opulences he got, he became more proud. And seeing him, all the other demigods also follow the same thing, and did not follow the etiquette of standing when Brihaspati came there. So when we listen to the pastime explanation from different devotees, it makes us more interesting, as it makes more interesting, and because we could realize the actual purpose of those pastimes. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your pride. by just it's a silly thing. Teaches us a lesson that how careful we have to be in life. Ego, pride, like that. Can really have a detrimental effect on our life, especially if you're a devotee on our sadhana. So this offenses to devotees. Very careful. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Kiran Prabhu, Haribol.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Just a few points because time is very short. The age of Kali, it is where we are, and it is what we have to deal with. And we have physical jails, we have physical hospitals. We don't need these physical hospitals and physical jails because we build them for ourselves, because we don't need the hospital because the hospital is in ourselves. We create the mental and physical illnesses for ourselves. We create the jail for ourselves. We didn't need Brahma to create it because we created the jail for ourselves. We're also the keeper of the jail. We have the key to the jail. We even have the medicines and the antidotes and the elixirs to get out of the hospital and the jail. And the antidote is the Srimad Bhagavatam. The other medicine or the key towards getting out of jail is the Bhagavad-Gita. Both of these are our escape routes. And if we don't take these escape routes, we will stay in the perpetual jail and the perpetual hospital. We have the opportunity to escape because in the words and the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna reveals himself. He revealed himself to Arjuna in the Gita. He speaks to each one of us daily. We need to hear it. We need to hear how we have developed those animalistic qualities. We don't need to have a tail. We don't need to have fur. We behave like animals sometimes, and that's why we create these delusions and illusions for ourselves. We have greed, we have anger, we have vices. Some of the animals are much more kinder. I work with people with visual impairments. Their dogs have compassion. They take them everywhere where even humans can't take another human. It just shows how topsy-turvy, convoluted, upside down the world has become. And we have to find the way out. The journey forward is for the transformation of the heart to occur through the words of the Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And question 6 of the sages, where has religion now gone? It resides in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hence, that is our way out. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, so if we don't read Srimad Bhagavatam or somebody explains it to us, then we probably won't know. What we try to read about the law of the land, and now we listen to the news or we hear from all the sources. We might read about it. The law of the land. What's the law of this way we're living? What do's and don'ts are. But not many people know the laws of the Lord, and they are very important that we know that as well. So because we keep getting punished, but we don't understand where this punishment coming from. Is because we're not following the law properly, and we are misbehaving from the eyes of the one are misbehaving in eyes of the law of the land, but so the laws are slightly different. The laws of the land are broken in the eyes of God, but not in the eyes of the land or the government, because they're doing the same thing, right? So it's okay to have casinos and gambling and strip clubs and cinemas and all sorts of entertainment that goes on. That's okay. That's acceptable. But maybe not in the eyes of God. It might not be acceptable, and that's what we have to understand, that where to draw the line. Because we follow the 4 regulations? Does this, what I'm doing, fitting those 4 regulations? The slaughterhouses, which are very acceptable in society, especially in the West, but do they fit into the 4 regulations? Thank you, Prabhuji. Parveen Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Thank you to Prabhu's, very nicely summarized. Yeah, for me, I'll say, the point that I've taken is duty as an Indian is to study, read, and not only read, study Bhagavad-Gita and Bhagavatam and preach. So, like, we've had mercy of the devotees to introduce us to Krishna consciousness. So it is our duty to further that. And the only, like, this age of Kali, like you said, is very difficult for self-realization. It is designed for sense gratification. We can see that everybody working so hard to gratify, to get this. And I've been to see my grandson, and my daughter was telling some stories for 4-year-olds, other children, and I was horrified to hear the stories, what the parents are teaching them. So it is very, very important, to read the scriptures. And we are very fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been very merciful. He's given us the Sankirtan movement for self-realization, and then Srila Prabhupada mercifully given us all the books. And devotees like yourself, Prabhuji, you are enlightening us. I've thoroughly enjoyed chapter 1. It's very, very good. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. And Bhagavad Dharma, I don't know whether I missed it. Yeah, the only way is to follow Bhagavad Dharma is the rules and orders of the Supreme Lord, and which we get after reading Bhagavad-Gita. So, and we just have to even if we just follow one instruction, so Lord Krishna says, "Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mamokshami ma shucha." So we don't have to fear, because we just have to surrender and follow Krishna's orders. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. For me, we do it time and time again. Actually, Prabhupada is reiterating Krishna's message to us in its purpose that read Srimad Bhagavatam, listen Srimad Bhagavatam, not just listen casually, do it scrutinizingly. That's the only way we're going to decode the message. This age has got 2 opposite things going simultaneously. One side, it is Maya, the sense gratification, and the people who want to gratify themselves. And the other side, Krishna has provided the means for self-realization, because this age is the only age where it is accessible so easily. And but he doesn't want all of us to come back to him, because I'm sure he wants the best of the best coming to him. So that's why the test is very difficult. It's like, going through the needle, eye of the needle, but it is doable. Acharyas have done it before us. Our Guru Parampara has done, and most recently Srila Prabhupada and our present gurus, we see them doing this day in, day out. So it is doable, and we can do it, but we have to be persevering, a lot in our lives to do this, because Maya is so easy. Okay, it's difficult to get. You have to work hard, but simultaneously you have to work hard in this self-realization department as well. So Krishna has given us a choice that do we want to be, half-heartedly going through this journey, or do we want to enjoy this journey, understand the purpose, and just remember one thing, that whatever we are doing, whatever we are seeing, whatever we are desiring is not just happening in this life. We have done this over and over and over again, like Srila Prabhupada said. We're just chewing the chewed and just happy that we're just going through life. And most of us, I think, somewhere in our heart, we think it's okay. Wherever I reach in this self-realization ladder, will be okay. Next life, like Krishna says, I can carry on from there. So sometimes mind is going to play tricks on us that, but why not give this one life to Krishna? Try our best. Let Krishna be the judge in the end at what we have accomplished. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, Krishna wants the best, but we have Lord Chaitanya, we have Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Lord Chaitanya's mercy. That gives us the extra leverage to go back. We don't need to be, although we aim for 100%, but we don't need to be 100% because by their mercy, we can go back. Prabhupada, I think he brought it down to, I think 70 something, but he says
60. He will say, okay, 60 will be acceptable.
So 60, so 60% is a pass mark for going back. But we let's aim for 100. Then if we aim for 60, then
we'll do
40. So aim for 100 and try and go back to Godhead with good marks. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you for your realizations, and we'll catch up again on Friday. As you know, we'll have the overview, so please do join. We're inviting a guest to speak, and we'll do in the evening, so hopefully more people can join. And let's see, and
tell the times.
8 p.m. till 9 p.m. for about an hour. Let's get an overview of everything all these weeks we've done on chapter 1, and we'll get an overview of what chapter 1 of Canto 1 was all about. So thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.